This is Ride Scoozi's VeeGo 750 Fat Tire Step-Thru Electric Bicycle. And this is Surface 604's Rook model Step-Thru Electric Bicycle. And there's a reason I have both of these here, right here at this moment. I recently completed a review of this bike and I like it. I've learned some things. I'm going to give you some details in a moment. But I just finished my review of this one and I have some things to tell you about it. Some things that are really good and some things that might stand a little improvement. So stay tuned because that starts right now on the Gadget Guru. As promised, a full review, in my opinion, of the VeeGo 750 is coming up in just a moment. Now, let me tell you about this one. I think when we left off, I said one of the things I didn't like was the seat. Now, I put a Schwinn on here, and as you can see, it's one of the cushioned, wider seats. Now, I got to tell you, that really changed the bike. Now, it also added, about 3/4 of an inch to it. Some people have asked in the comments, they said I didn't tell them how tall I was. Well, I'm 5'6", my inseam is just shy of 29 inches, call it 28.5. Even with the taller seat, I can get my tiptoes down here. But I have to tell you, this has turned into one of my favorite bikes. However, it's completely different than the VeeGo model. This VeeGo 750 is a fat tire bike. Now, for my usage in riding around my area, the combination of these two bikes is absolutely wonderful. This bike is not like this one, and this one is not like this. They couldn't be, there couldn't be more differences, and most of that has to do with the type of frame and with the tires. And as you can see, you have 4-inch fat tires on the VeeGo 750, and you have 2.1-inch tires over here. Both of them suit me very well. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to get this one out of the way, and we're going to focus on the VeeGo 750 right now. Just in case you didn't see my unboxing video, I'll put a link right up here. But let me tell you something. Out of the 4 e-bikes that I've had to date, this one came out of the box and was near perfect. There wasn't a scratch on the box, and when I say near perfect, it only needed a little tweaking. Let me tell you what that was. In the box, this piece right here, the little guard that protects the derailleur, it got a little bent. Now, out of the box, I'm riding it. It's a 7-speed transmission, but I wasn't getting my 6th and 7th gear. So I did the same thing I'm going to advise you to do it. If you're not a bike tech, you need to get to know one, or you need to take your bike to a local bicycle shop after you have done your part of the assembly. In fact, if you're not a bike tech, it's best to probably have a professional do it for you anyway. And in fact, in the instructions in here on Ride Scoozi, goes out of the way to tell you to get a professional involved. There's a lot of moving parts on any e-bike, and it's just a good idea to have a professional take a look at it. In my case, it's Dave, the Disney bike guy. He came over and took a look at it, and I tell you what, I'm going to cut to some video, and he explains what happens right here.
All right, so the problem I'm seeing is your derailleur guard is blocking the derailleur from achieving the outer gear. The solution would either be to bend the derailleur guard out some, or just to remove it altogether. Alright, so to adjust the derailleur, I'm going to go ahead and remove the derailleur guard. It seems like, you can see right here, the paint is damaged, so it looks like it's been bent in, possibly during shipping. So I could install it afterwards and bend it back out. Alright, see, now that I've got that off, it went right down into that gear.
So that was basically pushing it?
Yeah, so it's keeping it from achieving your outer gear.
The amazing part about that is, once he did that and just made some slight adjustments, I have a little bit over 60 miles on this right now. No further adjustments have been needed. Dave also gave some good information about proper tire inflation for fat tire bikes.
If you want to run lower pressure in the tires, that's going to be more for your off-road use. That's going to be more for going over rocks and twigs and a little bit of loose sand. So you're going to have more ground coverage with your tire. It's going to spread out more over the ground. If you want a little bit more firmer ride and you're trying to go on some hard packed sand, or you want to go on some sidewalks or some bike trails, air it up a little bit more towards the max on there, and you'll get a little bit better ride that way.
After he completed his assembly, he took it for a ride. Okay, so what's your opinion?
It's quick.
Okay, you were riding my 2018 Red Mini. That's the white one. Remember the jerkiness of the throttle. Are you feeling any of that on you?
I don't. It's got a little bit more get up and go than the Rook. But it does ease into it a little bit more. It doesn't ease into it like the Rad Mini, but it's got a little bit more power and it doesn't jerk you right into it.
And the throttle, I didn't feel a dead spot, did you?
No, it's as soon as you pull on the throttle, it kind of eases you into it. But when you pull back on the throttle all the way, you definitely know the power's there.
One thing I was a little nervous about is that this is a step-through frame. That means we're missing one of the crossbars, going across horizontally here. Are you feeling any wobble or anything on it?
No, I don't. The headset feels tight. The frame feels tight. It doesn't feel like there's any frame flex at all.
What's your thought on the shocks?
The shocks feel pretty good. I went over a couple bumps. I didn't really feel it. You can adjust the damper if you want. You can make it a rigid fork, or you can make it a shock. Either one feels pretty good.
As you've seen with the other e-bikes I've got, they usually come with these seats that are just hard. They all say, oh, we have gel or whatever in them, but they're pretty firm. What's your opinion of this Cloud 9?
So far, it feels good. I've only been on it a couple minutes, but I'm a big proponent of Cloud 9 seats. They're always comfortable, and this one, I feel like you could probably stay on it for quite a while. They
and I noticed on the other ones, the thinner stock seats, that, I'm a small guy. Some people say I might have a bony butt, but this one is just a lot smoother. I can stay on it longer.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you could put some miles on it.
Okay, now it's my turn. Let's go to the bike stem to stern. Okay, first and foremost, this thing is a powerful bike. I've had two Red Minis, both the 2017 and 2018 model. I know there's all kind of games. I'm not picking on Red of how much power and output and all that stuff here. I can tell you this is a 750 watt engine. That's not peak power. That's how much power. The power that's delivered from the throttle or the pedals, whatever you want to call it, to the rear wheel on this is far superior to any other bike that I have ridden to date. Let me see if I have to get that. Hello? Hello?
Goodbye.
As I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by a telemarketer, this thing delivers a heck of a lot of power to the rear wheel, and it shows. However, you would think that, and this is one thing I was concerned about, with the step-through frame, which makes it really easy to mount and dismount the bike, even for us shorter people or us older folks who don't want to swing a leg over the rear of the bike, this thing is stable. I have not experienced in more than 60 miles any wobble on this whatsoever. The shocks on here work good. There's no squeaking, there's no creaking. Here's what's also good. See this? This has, I think, quite a bit more adjustments, than other bikes. See, now I can pretty much create my own riding position. Now, part of the riding position is the comfort of the seat. Now, I give an A+ to Ride Scoozi for putting on here a Cloud 9 comfort seat. It seems that so many e-bike manufacturers are using these little thin seats, and they say, oh, they have gel coating. But those of us who are a bit older, it's just, this can be a comfort bike. But as I said, it's a comfort bike with a lot of power. This thing has, and let me go in and start with the shifter. There's 7 speeds in here, but compared to the other e-bikes that I've ridden, the other 7-speed models, there's quite a bit of range here. I can be up more than 20 miles an hour in 7th gear and still have some pedal left on this, where I can still take it a few more miles an hour up. Now, when it comes to the electrics on this, there are 9 pedal assist levels. Here's the different levels. Pedal assistance number 1 will let you pedal up to 7 miles per hour. Pedal assistance 2 takes you to 9.5 miles an hour. Pedal assistance 3 goes to 11 miles an hour. 4 will take you to around 14.5. Number 5 will take you to 17 miles an hour. Pedal assistance 6 will take you to 21 miles per hour. Pedal assistance 7 will take you to 23 miles an hour. Pedal assistance 8, well, for me, it got to 25.8 miles an hour. And pedal assistance 9 got us up to 27 miles per hour. Now, let me tell you, this controller has a lot of adjustments in here. I did not dwell too much in them. When I review a product, I keep it pretty much stock, but I will tell you, there are 3 different power levels. There's Echo, Normal, and Power. Instead of me trying to explain it to you, I went back to Jason, who's the manufacturer or the importer at Scoozi, and I'm just going to put on screen exactly what he said. In the same assistance level number, as you go up from Echo to Normal to Power, you will get a little more assistance and maximum pedal assist speed. For example, in pedal assist level 3, going from Echo to Normal gives you about 2 more amps of power and around 2 more miles per hour. Going from Normal to Power gives you another 2 amps and 2 miles per hour. The idea of being in Echo mode, you want to get more range. It's similar to a car. So your speed and power will be a little less. If you're concerned with range, you don't want max power and max pedal assistance is needed, then you can stay in Echo. Normal should be the regular use mode. And then if you're in a hurry and you want max speed and aren't concerned with the range, put it in power mode and you'll accelerate faster up to a higher top speed. He also recommends using the bike in Echo mode when you first get it so you can get used to it. As you get comfortable, then you can move it up to Normal and Power. And one thing he wants me to point out right here, and I'm not going to disagree with him because I got to tell you, using my butt dyno and the feel of the throttle, this thing is really fast. He goes, this thing gives you a true 750 watt output to the rear wheel. I know some people are going to say in some areas, on some trails, you have to have a maximum of 20 miles per hour. I understand all this can be programmed in the controller. Again, I didn't mess with it. It's not the way I review products. Let me get rid of this paper. Okay, let's talk about the brakes. You know, because of the Surface 604, I have really come to like the hydraulic brakes. They just seem great. However, you know, as Dave said, out of the box, the brakes needed no adjustment whatsoever. They have not squeaked whatsoever. As you can see on this, you know, I live in Florida. We're flat. I don't have these 15% grades, but I do have some ramps that I can get up to speed and nail the brakes. Check this out. As you can see, this thing just stopped really securely. Now, one complaint, when you look at the grip here, now, and let me point out, this is a grip throttle here. When you get to the grips here, they're a little loose. You know, again, I've had this for a few weeks here. You need the type of grips that you can, you know, lock or tighten down on this. They didn't get to the point where they slip so much. I really have to push it to do it. As I keep this bike, this is something else an upgrade that I'll probably do to this. Now let's go and move back. Here, I'm going to flip the bike around to show you something. Okay, this has a key in here. I like having a key on an electric bike, and I'll tell you why. You know, when you're going someplace, of course, and you're going to park it, of course you're going to lock it up. You know, taking the key out, not only does it secure the battery of the bike, but it gives a would-be, criminal, a would-be thief, just one more thing they have to do, and that's figure out how to hotwire the battery or remove it. Now, this is a locking battery. Now, one thing I did notice when I first got it in and installed the battery, the mechanism, it has a little kind of pinion in here that secures it in there. I just had to jiggle it a bit. The hole was off maybe a millimeter or so, but that took me about 5 seconds to figure out. Another thing to point out, this thing comes exactly as you see it. The fenders, not only are they included, they're installed. And as David tell you, fenders are usually a pain to put on because you got to end up removing all kinds of stuff.
If you've ever put fenders on a bike, you know that if they're already installed, that's a big time saver. You don't have to fight with that. You don't have to try and figure it out. The fenders look pretty good. They're nice, durable plastic. I'd say they'd last a good bit. They'd probably stand up to some abuse.
Another thing that this thing has that I really like. Oop, might help if I turn the power on. You know, turn it on. It's two-stage. Make sure the key's on, and then you come up. You press and hold the power button. And then once it turns on, it takes just a moment. It tells you that it's set up for a 20-inch tire, and all of that comes up. Now to turn on the light, just tap the power button again. You notice not only the front, I don't want to take this in the pool, but the rear light illuminates, and they're both operated on the included battery. Now, with all that said, after 60 miles and riding this thing around, I want to tell you, I recommend it. I will tell you, there is a lot of power on this bike, and I'm going to just agree with Jason. When you get this, keep it on eco mode. Go light on the throttle. Now, the way I ride bikes is different than how other people do. I don't go backwood trails, and as Dave told us, I keep about 30 pounds of pressure on here. This is the type of riding that I do. I live in a resort area. There's a lot of sidewalks and a lot of paths. Occasionally, there'll be some areas with a little sand, it is Florida, that has blown on the road. This bike has handled all these situations very, very well. The front shocks, when I go from one surface, let's say I go from the road and I get over to the sidewalk, just bumps, or I just get some bumps in there. The bumps really do not carry to the bike. They isolate me. Hey, I'm not a young guy. I'm a senior citizen here. This thing has been very, very comfortable to ride. The other thing, the rack, it is all part of the frame. And as I said before, I was a little concerned without there being some kind of crossbar here, how stable it is. This thing seems to work. The other just really great thing that I can say about this is after 60 miles, I haven't had to bring Dave back in. There's no squeaking, nothing is loose, everything is operating very, very well. Now, let's talk about mileage. Because of the way I ride, you already saw some of the paths and everything, and I go on back roads. I'm not commuting to work. I don't have the need to lay it on the throttle to try to get to work on time. I ride for exercise. In riding this thing, one thing I really like, and especially with the 9-pedal assistance things, that I would typically keep this on pedal assistance too. That takes me to around 9 miles an hour, but I pedal. I like to ride, and I find myself comfortable riding, around between 5th, 6th, and 7th gear at around 11 miles per hour, meaning I'm pedaling, I'm getting a workout. Now, when I first got it, of course, I charged the battery up. I gave it all the time recommended, and I gave it a multi-hour charge on there. Then once I got up to about 20 miles or so, I noticed that the gauge wasn't moving down. Now granted, I'm not hard on the throttle. I'm not, going top out trying to get from point A to point B. I'm riding for exercise and relaxation. So after 20 miles, I charged it up again. 40 more miles later, just yesterday, for the first time I saw 1 bar dropping. So I went on and charged it up overnight. Can I tell you this thing gets 40 miles per charge? Well, that's one of those, your mileage will definitely vary. It all depends on how you use the bike. I typically also normally ride in eco mode. Okay, I don't know what else I can say about this. I'm putting a buy rating on it. Now first, let's talk about prices. And this is where it gets confusing because there's a lot of things going on in the world today. As of the time of this video, this bike is out of stock. It's expected back in stock in just a few weeks. The price on it right now is $16.99. I don't like $99, so let's call it $1,700. However, they have a pre-order plan, and I think if you put $250 down, you get $200 off. So that brings this bike down to $1,500. Now you compare that to the Rook, which I showed you earlier in the segment. That bike sells for $1,800. Two different bikes. This doesn't have hydraulic brakes. Again, two completely different bikes. For a Step-Thru fat tire bike, I think this is just a great, great value. Now remember, for more information, you can check them out at ridescoozi.com. When I do these videos, sometimes I forget to put things up, and I have a more detailed review online at gadgetguru.com. And if you like this video, you're surely going to like one of these. I cover all kinds of recreational products, not only e-bikes, and more reviews are coming. I do motorhomes, drones, campgrounds, a lot of fun things. That's it for now. I'm the Gadget Guru, Andy Parr.